everybody. Welcome to Are We There Yet? I'm your host, Susan Ruth.
And I'm your host, Mara Adelman, and we are two humans having the real conversations and raising the questions that we all have about where the there is when it comes to dating, relationships, and sex.
Yay! Welcome. Welcome.
Welcome, everybody.
I'm going to be German tonight. So welcome. Welcome to episode 9. And we titled this one, We Can Make Love.
Love. So where has your there been? What's happened in the last couple of weeks since we've spoken?
It's been interesting. I had a real aha moment. Remember last week I talked about how I met a woman that made me go, whoa, why am I feeling all these things? And I kind of here's the thing, like my whole life I've found men and women attractive, but I haven't been able to really think in my head, oh, I would sleep with that woman. I would probably let that woman sleep with me. I think they call those pillow princesses. So, but it would let her, whatever. But I mean, I kind of have always been of the mindset where I think I understand men, I understand their body parts, I get all that stuff, but I also appreciate the beauty of women. And I find, like, I've watched lesbian porn and been turned on by it. So I know that is slightly a part of my personality to have, like we've talked about, it's like a sliding scale. So anyway, when I met that woman, I was like, wow, I'm really attracted to this woman. And then I had this thing, I think I was driving. I remember I left you a message. I was like, I just had this really intense realization that woman, what she actually represented, the thing that I was attracted to was this woman who seemed very much, I'm rambling, but I'm telling you, I just came back from a very intense trip with my family. My mother was doing very much the things that she did that caused a lot of trauma in my childhood. So it brought up a lot of stuff. And I was very vulnerable about what I looked like or, my place in the world and all that kind of stuff. And then I met this woman. I was like, wow, this woman's all together and beautiful and all this stuff. And then I realized, like, oh shit, I think I'm attracted to that light, that being of like having her shit together, a powerful woman, beautiful body that like loves her body and is really in touch with her body, and all these things that in that moment I wasn't feeling about myself. Like I was putting it onto her or something. And because I saw her again a little while later and I didn't have the same experience. She just seemed normal to me. I wasn't like attracted again, but I was in a stronger place about me. And I thought, well, isn't that fascinating? Because a lot of times I have this theory that people who fall in love with you quickly, speaking about how we talked about that feeling last time, they're falling in love with the way they feel when they're with you, of how they're feeling better about themselves reflected in your appreciation of them. I don't know if that makes sense.
No, you're making total sense. And the word you used with me was you liked how her comfortability in her own skin.
Yes, and how comfortable she made me feel.
Yes,
too.
Yes.
When I was in such a vulnerable space.
Yeah.
It was a real aha moment. And I feel like I just tumbled over myself trying to explain it. It's because some things are easier to think than to articulate.
No, you did a perfect job.
Okay.
And the aha moment is huge, right? But that is interesting that when you felt stronger, you didn't notice that as much.
Yeah, it didn't have the same power over me, that intoxicating feeling.
But
I'm not saying I'm not saying that at some point in my life, I won't, hook up with a female person, right. But I'm just, anyway, interesting. It was just an interesting thing to note. And I thought, oh, I got to tell Mara this because it hit me like such a ton of bricks.
Right.
You think you know yourself.
Well, but that's what we're all working on, right? Like we always say, know thyself. If you know thyself, then you're going to be more successful when you're around other people, right? Mm-hmm. And so I told you I wanted to review that movie. Good Luck, Leo Grande. Good Luck, Leo Grande. And that reminds me of kind of what you were just talking about. Emma Thompson in that thing was spectacular. Like I don't want to give too much away, but there was some, nudity in an older woman and appreciating their own bodies, that concept of like just being comfortable in your own skin. But essentially it's an honest look at sex, desire, and intimacy. And I think everybody should watch it. It was amazing. It is never too late for us to become more comfortable or know ourselves. And so your aha moment's going to probably lead to more of that, right?
Yeah. And I think because I came, I've had a lot of surgeries in my life for my, various whatevers, and which we could get into in another date. But I think, I don't know, I just was feeling at a low, not feeling very sexy or beautiful or whatever. That's not to say that the only time I'm going to feel an attraction to a woman is when I'm in a real shitty place. I don't want that message to be the message. That's not what I'm saying. No. Because I mean, I've seen women and I'm like, wow, I always think, I wonder if that person's going to bed. I don't know. My brain is a weird place to live is all I'm saying. But
what I'm hearing is that you can feel attracted to a woman, but in this case, you were attracted to her comfortability in her own self.
Yes.
You were not feeling that way because your mommy was being a pain in the fucking ass.
Being a terrible human being. Yes, absolutely.
Yeah. So that's, it's a huge.
And it's just a weird thing to realize that moment when you go, oh shit. I don't know. It's very interesting. And then I started thinking, well, I wonder, how many times have I, gotten together with a guy in a place of super vulnerability and mistaken that energy as something that it wasn't, only to find out later, oh wait, I was just feeling really in the dumps and you saw that. That's more predatory, I suppose. This person was not predatory at all. They had no idea. There's oblivious to what's going on.
Yeah, but that's a good point, is that sometimes people can take advantage of knowing that you're in a low.
Yeah.
And using it to get what they want. And no offense, in a lot of cases in men, that's hoping that they can have sex. And so, not always, but right.
Just predatory people. I won't even put it all on men. In my experience, it has been men, but I would say predatory people maybe can see that vulnerability and act on it.
It kind of goes to where my there is too, as I've been feeling pretty vulnerable. I've been dealing with too much all at once. And thank you for putting up with my chaotic brain while we get ready for this, because it's just been a lot. Like in the last 3 weeks, I've had 3 people that I love deal with the medical system. I'm going to get all teary now. They've been misdiagnosed, underdiagnosed, and possibly overdiagnosed. And as a medical provider, I feel like I have to always step in and make sure, the medical systems are so broken. I'm like, let me make sure, puppet master it, make sure nobody dies. And I don't mind that. It's my job, or as my dad would call it, he always says it's my job, meaning it's just what you do, because that's your family and that's what you do. But it's exhausting when you watch the medical systems like crashing down around you and you're trying to like keep everybody up. And so that was exhausting in itself. And then I'm on day like 18 of COVID. And I think because of all the stress, I was still having some weird like dry mouth, numbness, tingling, dizziness that comes and goes still at day 18. Not long COVID, just lingering COVID. And then unfortunately for me, the thing that's always the kicker is when I give my heart out and try to like really like somebody, and that same person that I've been dealing with kind of came back and was like, oh, we talked about it. We're going to be friends. We're going to figure this out. I like you a lot. I'm like, okay, then this is a rare thing when 2 people like each other this much. Let's try.
At the same time.
At the exact same fucking time. Like that's so rare to me. That doesn't happen very often. But just because he likes me doesn't mean he's capable of doing what's necessary. And I thought he was, and we were moving in that direction. And I was getting a lot of I like yous, and I was like, okay, well then this is what I feel like would make me comfortable. And I need follow through. I think most people need follow through in those moments, like say it, do it. And I wasn't all of a sudden getting that. And then for me, I think we talked about it on a prior podcast, like all people, but especially women, need to feel safe and secure, especially to like have good sex and have an orgasm. So guys out there, if you want your lady to have an orgasm, make her feel safe, make her know you got her back, that you're going to like follow through on what you say.
And her front.
Maybe both at the same time.
Oh, bossy.
I can be a little naughty sometimes. And so it was just hard. And then for me, what it does is it starts a cycle of doom. I'm going to trust everything you say. I don't want to be that person that puts my guard up all the time. Okay, yeah. You say that, and I have a pretty good gut. It's what I do for a living. You say that, I feel it. Okay, I'm going to trust that. But then I'm like, okay, you don't do what you say you're going to do. So is everything you said actually true? And can I actually trust that we would have a healthy relationship when no, because you're not doing what you say.
It's
right?
like the string on the sweater, you pull the string and you start pulling on it and pulling on it, and suddenly you're left with no sweater on because you realize that the whole thing was made up of, in this case, bullshit.
He left me fucking standing there naked in the middle of a fucking festival, feeling fucking vulnerable and stupid. Yeah, exactly. I'll write that down later. That is a very good analogy to use with people. Don't pull my fucking threads and poke at me, especially when I'm already down and I'm down. Good, poke it. I said to him, like, don't make me feel more sad when I'm already sad. So I'd rather just be alone. Thank you. Go away. Like, because I can take care of myself just fine.
Yeah. That is the trick of it. That is, and we keep coming back to this vulnerability, the trick of it. How do you balance everything going on in your life and still manage to maintain a vulnerability and openness and trust? And then how many times do you let that trust be trodden upon before you finally throw in the towel and say, how many chances do I have to give you?
Well, with one person, like, it's time for me to take my ball home from recess and go home and rest for a minute and find somebody else to play ball with. But in general, I want to be the kind of person that never loses that, because I think part of the problem in the dating world is everybody is so jaded that you can't make any headway. You try, but then that person's guards are up, and then everybody's ghosting. And so for me, I'm like, I don't want to be that person. Our whole goal on here is to help people figure out how to do it better. And if you're always guarded up, armor on, then nobody's going to get anywhere.
Yeah.
But I also know my worth. I'm not going to beg somebody to spend time with me. You say you want this, you need to make some time. You need to make me some priority in your busy life, not 100%. And so it felt really shitty. But what I realized is I felt stupid. I was like, wow, I tried that one again. But like that saying, you got to name it to tame it. He's avoidant. And he's an avoidant personality style. So we're going to do anxious and we're going to do attachment styles in 2 weeks. And I feel like he got avoidant and he gets all resistant to anything. And then on the other hand, when he's not like that, he's a fucking doll. And so, but I'm not willing to put out yet. Like, I'm working on it. I have an anxious attachment style. I rocked it this time. I breathed through it. Everything that I learned, I didn't reach out with a fuss. You can learn to be more secure. So thank you to this man for helping me along that journey, I guess.
Also, may I just interject that it wasn't you being stupid, it was you being vulnerable and trusting. And that's not stupid.
I know.
That's being brave. That's being brave and getting out there.
I know. And it's all going to be okay. But right now it just feels icky. Yeah. Thank you. And when I walked away, that's what I was thinking, is in 2 steps. Number 1, wow, I feel really stupid. And no, fuck that. This one's on him. He started it. I was doing it all as good as I could, So I go back to this guy I've listened to a bunch, Jack Butler. You can find him on YouTube. He's a coach. He always says he's just not your guy, and he says it in that calm voice. He's like, he might be 0.8 your guy, which this felt like 0.8, and when he was on, it felt like 1.5 my guy. Like so, like in sync, like an old married couple that could read each other's minds, but so hot for each other that even with like kind of almost being over COVID, we still couldn't stay away from each other. That was his choice. Like, so it felt right, but no, it's not right if you can't follow through. So he's less than 0.8 right now, not my guy. So listen to Jack Butler, he's good. He calms you down. He's always in nature when he's talking to people. So in 2 weeks, we'll talk about attachment styles. And I think I had mentioned my 4 C's that I coined in my coaching stuff. Chemistry and the iceberg. Chemistry, you got to have a compatibility, connection, but you have to be capable. And that means the right timing, the right ability to communicate, and being freaking emotionally intelligent. So if you are the one that feels like you're always ping-ponging people around, everybody, please get a counselor, get a coach, read some books, watch our show, because it's not fair to mess with people's emotions when you're not serious. It's just not.
Even unfortunately, it can be unintended consequence of people not being in touch with where they are and who they are and all that stuff.
Oh, I'm 100% sure.
An example would have been, what if, let's just say that woman that I thought was so beautiful and I was attracted to, what if she, firstly, I think she's heterosexual, but what if I had said something like, hey, do you want to, go out for coffee or do something? And then I would have I didn't even know myself in that moment really well. And that could have potentially been a problem. It could have been potentially great for all I know, especially if she's a good kisser, because I really love good kissers.
But I think you guys are friends. Like you've made, like, it's hard. Like what you're saying is like, you might've moved in one direction because you were feeling unsure. And
I'm just saying that it's another platitude in the pile of slow dating, slow moving, like get your thoughts in order, get your feelings in order. When chemistry hijacks your brain, take a breath for a second and say, okay, what is this? Why am I feeling this? What is it, from a place of the positive pile or a place of the negative pile?
Positive or negative?
Or shadow and light, or whatever you want to, right? It's all a learning curve. Yeah, I know.
It is all a learning curve. And again, people, so it's hard to say, come find me as a dating coach when my track record this month is not so good. But the nice part is that when I take the emotions out of it, I can see other people's stuff super clearly. So if you need help, find me at lovecoachmara.com. But when I'm doing it, I'm like, wow, I still can't figure it out sometimes.
Look, every one of us on this planet is way better at helping other people suss out their shit than we are about sussing out our own. Right. Let's be honest, because we're in the way of our stuff, and we have every single moment of our life, piled up against whatever we're going through in that moment.
Yeah, the emotions, the hormones. We talked about our last thing. All of our crazy hormones that get us all crazy. So, anyway, thanks for listening. I always go back to that song, the Rihanna song. Don't take my kindness for weakness, because I am not weak. I am just very fucking kind. Yeah. And so I can't.
We're open. It's not even about kindness. It's about you are open. I am much less open than you are. That isn't to say that when I feel chemistry with somebody, I might, who doesn't like a good slap and tickle, as my mother would say. But
you're super open with me. So it must just be when you trust people.
Yeah, and trust has a lot to do with it. But it also is that thing. I mean, I've had instant chemistry with someone.
Yeah.
Where you think, oh, okay, we're going to get naked in about 15 minutes. You down with that?
Yes, please.
It doesn't happen very often, but it does certainly happen.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, you had made a comment about the slow dating thing. So in this case, I was all on board for that. But like, that doesn't mean you see each other every 3 weeks. That's not dating. That's not building something, right?
That's real slow dating.
People need to make time for the process, right?
Yeah.
And if you're not going to make time for the process, then go away. Why bother? And I don't know. Unfortunately, all my past partners looking back have been avoidant, which is why I'm going to deep dive into attachment styles so we can do a really good job on that next time. Because what's that saying? You can't change the world till you change yourself.
That's a good saying. Probably.
Right. So I can't change the fact that I'm always going to be attracted to people that are slightly avoidant, because that is what I'm attracted to. All I can do is figure out how I step in and make that better. Right.
Yeah.
And so that's all I got on that. I'm just, I'm sad about a lot of things. He's,
Yeah, you have a lot going on in your life right now.
So luckily, because I have so much going on, it's easier to put that one on the back pile. I mean, emotionally, I feel it, but okay, don't sweat the small stuff. Yeah. I got other bigger fish to fry at this point, right?
Yeah.
So anything else to add to your stuff?
I spent some time with somebody that I've known for a really long time. I spent some time with them yesterday, and man, I mean, I've crushed on this person since day one, and he's great, but what are you going to do? So it's just fun to feel that crushy feeling and with a really good friend that you figure there's no lines going to be crossed, and you keep your little boundaries to yourself, and you just kind of sizzle in that feeling. I enjoy doing that.
It's the best feeling ever.
Yeah, really cool.
Okay. Do you feel comfortable sharing why you guys haven't crossed that line?
Oh, I mean, friendship. He's always had girlfriends for as long as I've known him.
So you're in the friend category.
Yeah, we're buddies. I mean, we have a really lovely friendship that isn't that hasn't even ever been a thing. We've talked to each other about relationships with other people, and
But maybe someday, because you let the sizzle go on long enough, maybe something will sizzle into the bedroom.
I often think to myself, is it just me? Is it just is it me? I do one of those things.
Oh no, I'm sure if you're feeling it, they're feeling it too. You're super intuitive.
You would think, but
you're very intuitive.
I don't know. I'm sorry, my shadow and is going back and forth on this.
Oh no, you look good when you go. I've given up today. It is what it is. It's hot and sweaty and whatever. It is what it is.
All right, let's get into the actual what this episode is about.
Talk about it. So today we're going to talk about the concept of the sexual response cycle. And so it isn't completely gender-based, but it is funny how it can be separated into that. So Masters and Johnson, William Masters and Virginia Johnson in the 1950s, sexologists, scientists did all of these studies on people, couples. Have you watched the movie?
Oh yeah, it's great. Oh yeah, Liam Neeson, right? Oh, no, that was Kinsey. Sorry, I'm getting my sex people mixed up.
I know. I've watched them all. I also, I don't have a name for the stars, but if you remember, it was super. We'll put a link at the bottom to the movie so people can see it. They studied people individually, people in groups.
Huge studies. Got everybody turned on. So they realized that the sexual response cycle starts with excitement. So like nipples aroused and pupils like all dilated and the heavy breathing. And then it moves into a plateau phase where you've kind of reached the peak of that. And then you get orgasm, woohoo. And then you have resolution. But it's pretty linear and it doesn't always work that way for me. So we'll talk. For you, it might work that way. Excitement, plateau, orgasm, resolution, because you can orgasm faster. For me and a lot of people, it doesn't always go in that flow. Mm-hmm. They even went so far as to take a bunch of women and get them to the point of orgasm and insert a camera, not to ruin the movie, everybody, but that was cool. Yeah. And watch the body actually have an orgasm. Super cool concept. I always think about that. Can you imagine signing up for that study? You go in and, hi, I'm just trying to make a few extra bucks to pay for college. You want me to do what now?
That would be more fun than when I was in PA school and people signed up. Everybody's running around with gowns on, line up. We all got to do our first prostate exam on people that are getting paid. Yeah. A first pap smear on people that are getting paid. I know these guys get paid to have an orgasm, for fuck's sake.
I mean, there is a name for that work.
Oh, there is, isn't there? But yeah, but this was in the name of science.
Yeah, well, one could argue that so is the other.
Yeah, that's true. It is. Well, going back to that movie, Good Luck, Leo Grande. Not to spoil it, but there was some of that in there where it was about how sex work can actually lead people to understand their own bodies better and have a better understanding of themselves. So
yeah, on Hey Human, I've had a couple of those workers, those people that help people find their intimacy in their spots and all that.
I think we talked about that, like the somatic people. Mm-hmm. But technically, is sex workers the appropriate term now? Yeah, sex workers, not prostitutes.
Well, the state will call those sex workers, but they themselves don't call them. The ones that I've interviewed that are helping people figure out intimately what they're. A
lot of times they're like somatic coaches, is what they are.
Yeah, but it falls
under. All sex workers in some ways help people
absolutely
understand themselves better. And so this will be a whole nother conversation.
Yeah, that's a whole nother thing.
We're going to do this, right? We're going to get somebody on the podcast that works in the sex trade.
Yeah.
Because if it's legalized, anyway, another topic for another time. So anyway, what then happened is this girl, Helen Singer Kaplan, right? Yeah. 1983. She realized that for women, it doesn't always work that way. That oftentimes we have to feel desire to then feel excitement, to then feel plateau, orgasm, resolution. And so you and I are going to talk about it at the end, like we took a quiz and we'll talk about our results. But she realized that there's this whole, so we'll also put a picture of that in the YouTube notes. It's not this straight line. It's super circular and it starts with things like emotional connection, emotional intimacy, all these other ways that might lead to desire. And then you get to the linear part possibly. And so we are different. There was a study that looked at men's brains wired more front to back with a little bit back and forth. Women are like front to back, sideways, crazy spider web. So it makes sense that even when it comes to the sexual response, that we're not going to be the same, right?
Yeah. And again, that's the whole thing too, is no individual is the same as any other individual. So when you're making love or having sex, depending on what you like to call it, with a partner or yourself, I guess if it's with yourself, you know yourself, but it's not always linear with yourself either.
It's
Some
not.
things you do feel really great, and then 2 days later you try that again, or the next day you try that again, and it doesn't work the same. And
Yes.
the same with, you can't, oh, I did this when I was giving my partner head, and then I got a new partner and I tried the same technique and he about jumped out of his skin, you know, or something like that.
That's why you have to communicate about it.
I'm sure every vagina is different, I'm sure. I mean, yeah. I hate those. It sounds so like vagina. I know that's the whole of all of it, but you
could say pussy. We know you like pussy better.
I know. I like it better.
I like vagina better because I'm like, I'm a medical provider.
I was trying to be polite.
You can do whatever. Hey, we're gonna one of these days we're gonna do an episode on toys. We're gonna pull out all the fun toys. So sorry, am I super blurry?
You are a bit blurry. I do see that.
Maybe I just need to get further.
No, something happened when you got up close to your camera and then backed off again. There, now it's back.
Sorry, guys, but it's okay. As long as you can hear my voice, it's okay if I'm a little blurry.
There you go.
So yeah, everybody's different. You have to communicate. You can't just have a new sexual partner and expect that it's just going to be easy. You have
That's why I always say, you know, what do you like? What turns you on? And that seems like it kind of takes the fun out of it. You don't have to have that conversation when you're buck ass naked. You're welcome to have those conversations over coffee. So what do you like? What turns you on?
Yeah. In my sexuality program, they actually said, if it's going to be something that's slightly charged, do not talk about it in the bedroom. It's okay in the bed, like you said before, you know, fingers in, fingers out. That's my favorite saying. Like, it's okay to say it, do more of that. Oh, I like that. But if you're going to have a conversation, do that outside of the bedroom.
Yeah.
You don't want to hurt anybody's ego. Right?
Yeah, so sex and ego is tightly woven.
It is very, very tightly woven. So the interesting thing, couple stats that made me happy. Let's see. On any given day, 120 million people are having sex.
Good for them. I'm so happy for them.
You know what I want to say? Fuck you. I thought I was going to be having a decent sex life moving forward until these guys couldn't figure out his shit.
It's good. It's great. I mean, you know, put it out there in the world. Yay.
To the universe, I would like to have a good sex life and a healthy relationship with the same person and not myself. Well, no, I want to have a healthy relationship. I'd like to have more sex with somebody, not myself.
Yeah, I get it.
Anyway, so then going back to why it matters for women to have the desire thing.
We're a train wreck today. I love it.
I know. Sorry, guys. I am truly a train wreck. But we're here. And honestly, being here with you, Susan, and knowing that we're still going to help people, I'm just going to be myself today because I'm vulnerable and tired. And hopefully people realize that, like, oh, good. That's everybody. Like, everybody's a train wreck right now.
Everybody is doing the best they can. They're doing what they got.
Which, even going back to that guy, he's doing the best he can. I'm not mad. I'm just super disappointed.
Yeah.
So you can't be mad at people when they're doing the best they can. So on that note, this is why we go back to like why the sexual response cycle matters and realizing women need desire first. Only 19% of women think about sex every day.
That stat surprised me because
how often do you think about sex, Susan?
I mean, a couple times a day at least, probably, depending on where I am and what I'm doing.
Yeah. Unfortunately, I might fall in the middle category. So 67% of women think about sex a few times a month or a few times a week. I would say I'm a few times a week, but if I'm with a partner that I'm hot about, I think about it constantly.
I'm like a bonobo monkey or something. It's not like bonobo. I'm not oversexed, I don't think. It's just when I meet people, I don't care who they are, old, not young, that would be weird, but old or man or woman or whatever, I just think, wonder what they're like in bed. I don't know why I do that.
Do you know the story of the bonobos? I can know part of it. You should share that because we brought that up. It's super fascinating.
Oh, bonobos fuck anything. They have all different kinds of sex with all different kinds of partners. There is no gender specific. They don't care. They solve fights by having sex. They have parties with sex.
Oh, I'm a bonobo in some ways too then. I tell you, sex fixes everything. And they're also women led. That's why everybody gets along. They're led by a woman. So it's matriarchal. Yeah. I read up on it. I was like, oh, bonobos are cool. Yeah, they solve everything with good sex, people.
Yeah. I want to bring up one thing about excitation is that I think, especially the women that I know who are moms of young children, all day long, they are being touched. They're being grabbed. They're being caressed by their children, like suckled and rubbed and touched and clung to and all this stuff.
Yeah.
So hyper stimulated that by the time their partners get to them, their skin is on fire almost.
Back up.
Yeah.
Back up.
That's tricky. That whole navigation of once people have produced an offspring, not only the changes in the body, but the changes of what that thing that you just created is now going to do to your body too.
My neighbors do it pretty well. He works all day. She has a 2-year-old, 4-year-old, and 7-year-old. And I watch their patterns and they do a really good job. He comes home from work and he takes the kids out in front to play and he gives her a couple hours. And then they probably do dinner. So maybe he gets sex every now and then. I'll have to ask, and maybe they'll be on our podcast someday, because it's funny watching a traditional type family where she only works very part-time in his business. And maybe because he does that, she feels a little more able to have somebody else touch her. Maybe. Yeah. If they're comfortable, I'll ask them sometime to be on the show. And then 14%, think about it, less than once a month. Well, what would you guess? I think I read a study that men are like at least 3 times a day, if not like all day, right?
I once asked
touch the arm, sex, touch the face, sex. Oh
yeah. I once asked my dad, hey dad, is it true that men think about sex every 7 seconds? And he went, sorry, what? Which is hilarious.
For people in the who are going to listen to the podcast and can't see it, essentially he's like, what? Because
I'm sorry, I was just thinking about sex.
Oh, I would like your dad.
Oh, he's hilarious.
Yeah, that's a good one.
He's hilarious.
So unfortunately, back to like that whole thing we talked about on one of the episodes, like it's an education problem. Men are like, well, if I touch your arm, aren't you horny? No, we need the desire piece. And again, going back to orgasm piece, which we also talked about, I just read this. The clitoris was not fully mapped on scans until 2009.
That is bonkers to me.
That was yesterday. Guess when Viagra came out?
Probably a million years ago. Before that.
1998, like at least 10 years before that. So we're going to come up with a pill for men to have more sex, while women, when nobody knows where the clitoris is and we don't understand female desire. So it's just so again, we're hopefully going to teach people that stuff.
Well, let's be honest. There is a disproportionate support of men and sex than there is for women and sex. Women aren't supposed to be sexual. They're supposed to birth them babies and become matronly, and then
and then die. That sounds like
and then die. Yeah,
so much fun. And going back to, we had talked about this before with the orgasm gap. Only 60% of women have orgasm every time. Men are usually around 90. So unfortunately, if we don't learn this stuff, there's always going to be that, is it discordant? Why do I always forget the word? It's not going to line up. Discordant?
Disordinate.
They're not going to line up.
Yeah.
And then everybody's like, well, why aren't we having a happy, good sex life?
And also men are not allowed to talk about when they have sexual dysfunction. There's so much shame around that. And I mean, it's great that products like Viagra exist. There just is a disconnect in how human beings come together to come together. How
human beings come together to come together. There's a total disconnect, not only in how we respond to things, but sexually. And like, remember that whole linear thing, excitement, plateau, orgasm. I've been with several men that couldn't orgasm. They were like, I just can't, they had health stuff over the years, or they were drunk and couldn't
alcohol is a big one.
There's lots of reasons, or a lot of men sometimes take a really long time and the women give up. They're like, okay, go take care of that yourself. So that
it's a little thing called friction.
It's a little too much friction. So Masters and Johnson, and everybody should watch the movie, did a great job getting us here, but then it's like, it's not always so linear. It's not always so linear. And so that's all I kind of got on that because, brain's tired, but I have a couple corrections and I think you might have had one too. So corrections. What did I wrote them down.
About COVID, I think you had said.
COVID, yes. So my brain was very COVID brain when we did our last episode. And I said I was on day like 5 of quarantine. That's not actually accurate. When you are home and sick, you are isolating away from people. If you've been exposed, you go home to quarantine to make sure you don't come up with it and give it to somebody else. So, but I had COVID brain. I still do a little bit. Like things don't want to quite stick, but that's normal. And, by the next time we all see each other, I should be more normal. Also,
I feel like I'm so in the dark in this episode. I don't know what's going on.
I see.
I apologize. Oh,
right there.
Let there be light. Let there be lamp. Let there be light. Apologies. This is not a pro situation. We're doing the best we can with what we got.
You know what?
It's because the sun's setting, and so it's coming through. Yeah. Anyway.
Once again, we're two humans having these conversations, and it's okay to sometimes just be human. I give up. I just want to be a person and I want to be human. And then
what was your other thing? The
Narcan thing, which pisses me off.
Narcan,
Another medical thing to piss me off. We had talked about how everybody should have Narcan. And so we had talked about how I would go find out how everybody gets Narcan. So if somebody's like overdosing, and unfortunately, several pharmacies I called were like, you still need a prescription for that. It has to be in somebody's name. And I was like, I'm a medical provider. I want it in my car and in my purse. Because if somebody's laying there, and I think it's the only thing that's going to save them. Yeah. So unfortunately, once again, the government and the systems have not caught up to what reality needs to be.
2 fentanyl deaths this last week of friends of mine, not me personally knowing, friends of mine, where
goosebumps.
Yeah. One under 21, one around 30. I think she was around 35.
It just makes me sick.
And now apparently fentanyl is starting to get into the fake feel-good meds. Like when people don't want to go to therapy or don't want to get a prescription from a therapist or psychiatrist, I guess it is, and they're getting street pharmaceutical for.
So Prozac, it's going to make them feel good, so they'll come back and buy more of the fake stuff from this guy. They're like, "Ooh, I feel good."
Yeah, so it's really sad. And apparently one of the deaths that I was talking about, she was taking a Xanax that wasn't from a pharmacy, it was from a street Xanax, and it was laced with fentanyl, and she died. So
like, once again, remember when I was about to cry in the beginning? People, medicine is fucking broken. The systems are broken. The fact that we can't get Narcan to save these people, broken.
The fact that we can't have free mental health care so that we as a society are in a better place emotionally. The fact
that women can't make decisions for their own bodies. I will cry. I'm a medical provider who's feeling total moral fatigue, which is like the fact that the systems are broken. We can't help people. The good news is it totally knocks my compassion fatigue out the window, which is when I'm like, do I have to listen to one more person moan about their sore throat? I know your throat hurts. You have COVID. That's compassion fatigue. Moral fatigue is like, the systems are all broken. When I go to that mode, then I actually want to help people even more because I'm like, wow, the systems are broken. I better give 120%, right? But they're pretty broken. So on that note, based on my month, if you people have anything wrong and you go to the doctor and it feels anywhere wrong, bring somebody with you to listen, take notes, ask for a second opinion. If it still doesn't feel right, ask for a third or a fourth. That's our right.
Advocate for yourself. Absolutely.
Advocate for yourself. It does feel this episode is a little heavy, huh? Sorry, guys.
It is.
But the world's a little heavy. What are you going to?
Life is a little heavy right now, and that's just the way it is. So I took this quiz.
Yes, the quiz. Yes, thank you. Go.
The about our what did you call them? The sexual pathways? Is that what you call them?
The quiz is called The Art of Connection. Like, how do you sexually connect with people?
It's in the link is in the bio section of YouTube there. So when you're subscribing to our show, then take the quiz. Why not? Yeah. My dominant pathway is power play, and then sexotic, which sounded very saucy to me.
Saucy.
Said that I want a confidence of an in-charge lover who desires them. It gets a little...
Ding, 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 ding. I also rated very high on that one.
Yeah. And I mean, but that's true. I think women who have so much going on like we do, it's nice to have somebody take control, not all the freaking time, but it's just sort of, you want to be dominated. You're not allowed to see that there's shame around that too, to say like, oh, every once in a while you want to be a little dominated. You don't want to make all the decisions all the time.
So the one I wrote down around that one was where you want to surrender. That tension that comes from submitting to someone taking the lead so that you can relax. Yeah. And we shouldn't feel shame around that. There's men that feel that way.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's not a gender thing. We just happen to both score high on the surrender one. Yes, please take charge. Yes, please. Yeah.
It could be the week we're having.
Yeah, definitely. Well, we should pay attention for future. If you're having a harder week, do you need to surrender more? And I would say that this is probably true, because when we bring out the toys, there might be a strap-on included. Oh,
I've never pegged anybody.
It was a very but I couldn't do that if I was in a vulnerable place. Like, but when you're feeling
someone else, or
if you're feeling powerful.
I mean, it's certainly on a bucket list. Somebody out there needs that,
Somebody out there needs that. Okay, so what was your next one?
My other one was sexotic, which is the sexual adventurer. Thinking of or watching specific sex acts are more important than any other aspect. See, I don't know if it's more important. Here's the thing. When I was doing this quiz, I was saying, oh, it's interesting. It's all very much touch oriented, this quiz. Mm-hmm. For me, if we're sitting around talking about the latest, neural pathways, plasticity, neuroscience research, that's gonna turn me way on, so I'm gonna be like, ooh, I feel good, and also my neck is that's of course physically, my neck is very sensitive.
Well, we talked about that. You're sapiosexual. So you're right. The quiz didn't go really into as much of the intellectual. It went into the emotional and the physical, but not the mental. So we know you're sapiosexual and you are a surrenderer who likes the power dynamic, and the sexotic who likes to explore, which is why you're in that phase in your life, right? You want to explore and see what happens next.
Yeah. And I think I like the dynamic too of not just being the surrenderer, but the one that's getting someone else to surrender.
Which is a problem. But again, we'll have to pay attention and report back. It probably depends on where you're at, right?
Yeah.
Super tired, you'd like to surrender. Not feeling super tired in the world, I want to take some control.
Yeah. And during masturbation, some of my fantasies these days are really about being controlled, so that must be kind of in the space I am.
Being controlled or being in control?
Being controlled, where you're somebody's.
Because the world is chaotic and it's nice to just surrender, baby.
Yeah.
And then I think my second one is funny and it totally rings true, is the sentimental. So I eroticize the person. So like that emotional connection, the eye contact, the we care about each other, I've got your back, like the kissing, like all of that. So pretty much kiss me, pull my hair and throw me against the wall and make eye contact all at the same time.
That sounds easy.
Yeah. I don't, the other problem is the guy that I was hanging with knew how to do that perfectly. So once again, I'm going to get past it because I want a healthy relationship, and it's not healthy to do the Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde, hot and cold. Yeah. That's not healthy for anybody. It's not even healthy for him. So
I want to really, before when I was joking about kissing is a big deal, and I think it is a big deal. And I was watching something, and I think it was How I Met Your Mother. I've never watched that show, and I just turned it on to just kind of get into it. And there was the main guy, Ted, says, I'm a great kisser. And Robin says, everyone thinks they're a great kisser. Uh-huh. And I've thought about that. And the thing about kissing too, don't leave that out of the conversation, because some people like to start strong with the tongue. Some people lay it back with the tongue. Some people are wet kissers. Some people like drag it. Have the conversation, because otherwise you're going to either suffer through what you consider terrible kissing. You might luck out and it's instantly like, woohoo, but have the conversation. There's no topic is too small to talk about when it comes to your desire.
Yes. Even kissing. Although I go back to sometimes like you had said before, nothing has to be perfect. Sometimes it's awkward. Sometimes it's funny. Sometimes you're out of sync.
Ridiculous. Sex is ridiculous. It's funny and awkward and makes weird noises, and all sorts of things can happen. And you must have, if you can, maintain a sense of humor about it.
Yes.
And then I will repeat this, like I always say, if you're old enough to have sex, you're old enough to have the conversation around sex.
You really need to. All of it, like we've talked about. I keep wanting to tell people. So you have a song. Are we there yet?
Yes.
And we had talked about that in the beginning when we came up with our name. I said, we should name it Are We There? You said, I have a song that you had. So anybody who listens to our podcast, that very beginning part is you singing for us.
That's right.
Yes.
Yep. That's me singing on the theme song for this show. Are We There Yet? And it's available anywhere you get your music. So anywhere from iTunes to Amazon to Spotify to, it's from the album All I Ever Wanted Was Everything. Yay. Thanks for the plug, Mara.
No, seriously, like your music is amazing. And I keep forgetting to say like and again, serendipity, it just works so seamlessly.
That was funny when you said, I was thinking for the name of the show, Are We There Yet? And I thought you were joking with me for a second. I said, you know, I have a song with that.
I was like, I really don't know you have a song like that. And every time I listen, so when I go back and watch us, when that plays, what's the part? Are we there? Yeah, anyway, there's a part where I just go, it makes me melt. You have a very pretty voice.
Thanks, love.
And then what are we going to do? In 2 weeks, we're going to do
attachments.
And then there's a bunch of reading stuff we'll put on there. You had come up with that article that I added on there, what not having sex means for your body. And most of it's not good. So everybody find a way to have a healthy relationship or healthy sex together or apart. Sex is good for us.
Masturbation is good for you.
And we link to that quiz so you can see what your desire, your art of connection and the type of desire that will get you there.
Yeah.
And subscribe to our YouTube channel.
Yay.
And we want more questions.
Oh, yeah. Oh, that reminds me. Hold on. Did I bring it over? We got a really nice note. Hold, please. I have to go get it over.
Because it was very nice. You're so cute. Look at you.
I'll be right back.
With your rock and roll t-shirt. You are looking hot. I want a rock and roll t-shirt.
Oh, where is it? I printed it out. It didn't print, of course. Hold on. I'm gonna go. I'll use it. I got it. I'll use my phone to find it. Hold on 1 second. Sorry, this is so professional.
It's okay. Like we said, we don't have to be freaking perfect.
No.
While you're looking it up, we really do want questions. And so
yeah, it was great. It was from our safety episode.
Yes. It was from the safety episode.
Yes. So hold on.
But in general, everybody who's listening, we want all of your sex questions, all of your relationships questions, all of your dating questions, and you can email them. Our email is at the bottom of the list in the YouTube, and we're working on our website, which will be up soon. And then after that, all of this will be podcast ready. But you can always go to our YouTube channel to find all of these links. You can go to our YouTube channel to find all the quizzes and and
if you subscribe, once we hit 100 subscribers, we get to name the channel something that's much easier to find. So please subscribe, please, because it really helps. And once we hit that 100, it won't be youtube.com/WHX1347, like we're robots or something.
Exactly.
Yeah, we'll actually have a name. Okay, I have it. It was for our safety episode, and it's from Glitz by Day Makeup. And she said, so many great tips to be safe. It's unfortunate we have to do these types of things, but better safe than sorry. Some of my girlfriends will share their location with me when they are going on a date, as well as an extra precaution. If you're going to sit in your car in a parking lot if you're going to sit in your car in a parking lot, make sure you lock your doors as soon as you get in the car. Be safe out there, everyone. So really great comment, really great idea. And that's from episode 4, Every Breath You Take.
And staying safe while you're dating. So just so I understand, because I'm not always as technologically savvy as I should be, you can essentially like put a pin in your location and send it to a friend.
I think, yes, that is correct. At least on an iPhone. I don't know if all the phones do that, but certainly an iPhone does that.
I'm going to learn how to do that because it's time to, once I lick my wounds, it's going to be time to get back out in the dating world. And I had promised myself that I would.
And then you can let someone else lick your wounds.
Yes. Oh, yes, please. I could use a little more of that in my life. You crack me up. You got me all hot and bothered. You're fabulous, darling. I love you.
I love you.
We will see you I know, hearts to you too. It's been a rough moment.
I know. And your family is in my heart and I love you.
Thank you. I love you too. And I'll see you.
Bye, everybody.
But we'll see all of the rest of you in a couple weeks for attachment styles.
Whoop, whoop.